Hello and happy, beautiful day to you. On today's episode, we're going to be talking a bit more about the technical or how things work, if you will, and diving a bit deeper because let's be honest, the more that we understand anything, the easier it is to master it to be able to get real results. The more that we understand how computers work, the easier it is to use a computer in anything in life. And so I want to talk a bit deeper about the mind-body connection because so often people will have ideas about how it works that can actually keep them stuck. And one of the things that I want to talk about today has to do with the concept that emotions are stored in the cells of the body. And this is a belief it's a growing belief that can keep a lot of people stuck because then they feel like at a deeper level, at a subconscious level, that it's harder to make a change because, after all, emotions and information is stored in the cells. But the way you want to think about it is like this, is that it's communicated to the cells. And we'll talk about why that is, but you'll be able to see the logic behind it. And again, the benefit to this is understanding that we can make a change with the mind-body connection. Because after all, if emotions are stored in our cells, then making a change would be impossible. But that's where we can also see logic. Because imagine for a moment if emotions were stored in the cells. Imagine somebody who's maybe has amputated legs. You know what would happen? They would lose half of their emotions. Logically, you would think, theoretically. But that doesn't happen. Or when you stop and think about it, the cells of the body are constantly repairing and replacing cells. I mean, our blood cells are 3 to 4 months old. Skin cells always replacing themselves. Science estimates that our cells are about an average of 7 to 10 years old. So maybe you've heard before that, we have a whole new skeleton every 7 to 10 years. Some people would say 15. So there's a varying degree. And of course, it depends on how fast is somebody's body repairing and replacing and regenerating cells. But my point being is that knowing if we take this information and we say cells are constantly repairing and replacing, what would happen is we would lose all of our old emotions. So a way to think about it is like this, is that imagine if you have a computer, right? Now, if you have a computer, it feels like on the computer that it feels like the internet's on the computer. Or if you have a cell phone, it feels like your cell phone carrier is stored on the computer or on the cell phone, where the information is like the connection is stored on the actual cell phone. But think about it this way. If let's say you have a computer and all of your images are stored on the computer, and then you throw out the computer, what happens to your images? Well, they're gone because they were stored on the computer. But if they're on like the cloud, they're on an external drive somewhere, but they're accessible through the computer, then what happens is then you might be able to go on the computer and access them, but they're still stored in another place. So if you get rid of the computer and you get another one, you still have access to your photos. That's the way to think about emotions, is that yes, it can feel like they're in the body, but there are multiple ways that emotions are communicated throughout the body. And that's the way you want to think about it. Because again, if you feel or think, even at a subconscious level, if you feel like emotions are stored in the physical body and then you're trying to get rid of them and you feel like they're stored, there's going to be this deeper level of self-struggle. Because part of you feels like you have an emotion that's stored in your body and stored in your cells, and then you're trying to get rid of the emotion. So instead, again, the way to think about that is it's communicated to it. And then what happens is, of course, cells repair and replace, and it's like getting rid of a computer and getting another one and getting rid of a computer and another one. You can still access the internet from any computer because it's like all of the information is not stored on there. It's accessible. And by the way, that's what's also fun about new cutting edge breakthroughs, has to do with energy of the body. So just like the internet, how do we connect through the internet? Through Wi-Fi, or, so we don't have to be like a direct connection. We can connect through Wi-Fi, or we can connect through a corded connection. But either way, it can happen via photons. So little particles of light. And so what can happen is just like with cable or telecommunications all around the world or text messaging, this is happening with photons, with particles of light. Basically, our bodies can do the same thing. Like new research even shows that it's exciting new research that shows that our bodies are using photons, bio-photons, to communicate information throughout the body. And one way to even think about communication through the body is something like this, is if you think about the placebo effect. You think about somebody takes a fake pill and one person, let's say, is told that it can help their IBS. And so they take it and it can. So they're irritable bowel syndrome. So they take it and it can help their symptoms. Or another person can take the placebo and they're told that it could help their Parkinson's. And so it can. And another person could take a placebo and they're told that it's going to have a negative effect. And it can. And so my point is, we can see the communication. It's the same fake pill, but the information is communicated through. Now, by the way, the nocebo or placebo typically will wear off. Why? Because this information is not stored in the cells. So if it was stored in the cells, it would just stay there. Somebody would take a placebo, the information's stored in there, the emotions are stored in there, you're stuck. But that's not what happens. Or another way we can see it is this, is that people with multiple personality disorder, you hear me use this example all the time, people with multiple personality disorder can have different illnesses and different personalities. And when they shift personalities, the illnesses change and their immune cells can change between personalities. Now, if the emotions, because they're shifting personalities, if their emotions were already stored in the cells, then theoretically, there would be no change because emotions are already stored there. But when they change, the cells can behave differently based on changing their mindset, having multiple personalities. So what's exciting about this is we can see that we can create radical changes by shifting our mindset. And so we wouldn't want to tell ourselves, oh, these emotions are all stored in the body, because then again, you feel like it's harder to change. But instead, the information is communicated, and that becomes empowering. And by the way, as far as communication goes, there can be biophotons which can communicate. There's even new research that suggests that mitochondria then communicate information. Biophotons, nerves, cells communicate information with biophotons. So that's all really incredible. But we also look at other ways too. I mean, hormones help communicate information. People have certain hormones, like certain emotions. Emotions then can trigger the release of certain hormones or neurotransmitters that then can communicate information to the body. So that communication, or even if we geek out a little bit, we can even talk about stimulating the brain, and different emotions show up in different areas of the brain, which can affect different parts of the body. So there's so many different ways we can see the brain-body connection that emotions aren't stored there, though it may feel like that. Now, by the way, we could even look at things like energy from transplants and whatnot. And you know, of course, neurons, like the emotions or neural pathways, we can have neural pathways where we have patterned ways of thinking and feeling. So those get stored up and those can happen, but that trigger of emotions is not stored in the cells. Instead, it's something we can feel and we can change. And that's what's exciting. Now, by the way, we could geek out on this further. We could look at quantum entanglement, of communication of biophotons. We can look at quantum entanglement with non-locality. I mean, we could really go down the rabbit hole. But the biggest thing, or the simplest thing that you'll really want to think about, is how to use this and the mind-body connection and healing. Because when we think about multiple personality disorder, or we think about the placebo, we can see how our thoughts and emotions really can create a difference. And the thing that we really want to take from this is we are incredible. We have the power. And if somebody with multiple personality disorder can make a change between health issues, think of what's possible for you when you change your mindset and you change your health, you can change your life. And so that's the insight that I want to provide you with is number one, if you're somebody who's felt like emotions are stuck in the body, I get it. I absolutely get it because they can feel that way. But of course, if they were stored in the cells, we'd all lose them. Nobody would have any emotions from childhood. So you want to think about it in a very empowering way, where you really think about that it's communicated and that this communication can change. And you are the one that has the ability to change that. So keeping that in mind, I want to invite you from this to take in the feeling of empowerment and also take in the feeling that you could change today, that you're in control of your health. You have more power than you realize over your own health. So that's the invitation. And by the way, if you are somebody who wants deeper training, I have a 90-minute free breakthrough masterclass on self-healing to help you to understand how it works and also overcome a lot of misconceptions. So I would say a lot of the time, people stay stuck all of the time when it comes to mind-body healing because there are so many misconceptions on how it works. And so if you're really wanting to master this, as we talked about, the more you understand anything, the easier it is to get results. And so if you're wanting to master this, I also have a masterclass that is available right now that you can join. So there's that. You can find the link in the notes. I'll have my team put it there. But otherwise, the biggest thing that I want you to think about, or want to invite you to think about, is that there is a new awareness in breakthrough awareness that our cells use light to communicate information. And a simple way to think about it is like the internet. Just like we can hook up different computers to information, our body and our mind and our energy is communicating information to all of the cells in our body, and we can change and we can create incredible changes. What you are capable of, what we're all capable of, is truly incredible. And so that's today's quick IQ episode. And I want to invite you to please do take a quick moment to hit the share button on this episode. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, or somebody you don't even know, because the more that every single person in our world is happy and healthy and loving and loved and empowered, the better this world is for all of us. And so please do hit the share button, and please do make a point to have a most wonderful, incredible, happy, healthy rest of your day. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. We'll see you there.